All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're tackling a massive question, one we've all probably asked ourselves. How do we stop just being busy and start making a real, lasting contribution? We're going to break down what the experts say. So let me ask you something straight up. Think about your last week of work. Were you just plowing through a to-do list, or did you genuinely move the needle on something that matters? That's the core question here. We're going to shift our whole mindset from just effort to actual, tangible impact.
Okay, so what do we even mean by contribution? Let's get really clear. It has nothing to do with how many hours you clock in. It's about the value you add. It's the real impact you have on a goal, whether it's for your team or the whole organization. It's a huge mental shift from just doing work to creating value.
To get there, we've got a 5-step game plan. We'll start by looking inward at your strengths. Then we'll figure out how to align them with the big picture. After that, it's all about action, collaborating, and executing. Then we'll get to the really powerful stuff, scaling your impact. And finally, we'll see how to keep it all going with a solid feedback loop.
First things first, it all starts with your strengths. This is the absolute foundation for everything else because, you can't really give what you don't realize you have. So I want you to really think about this. What makes you, you? And this isn't some abstract question. We're talking about your specific skills, the stuff you know inside and out, the things you're truly passionate about, and even just your unique way of seeing the world. This is your personal toolkit for creating value. And check this out. It really comes down to two very different paths. On one side, you're focused on fixing your weaknesses. It kind of feels like pushing a giant boulder uphill, right? You get a tiny bit better, but you're just exhausted and burned out. But on the other side, you're leaning into your strengths. That's like lighting the fuse on a rocket. That's where you get that massive exponential value. And just as important, you actually feel fulfilled by what you're doing. So once you've got a handle on your strengths, what's next? Well, you've got to point that rocket in the right direction. That brings us to part 2, aligning with the goal. And this is so important. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're climbing the wrong mountain, it doesn't matter one bit. Your best work is totally wasted if it's not connected to the main objective. You got to constantly be asking, wait a second, what's the real mission here?
A great way to think about this is the good old 80-20 rule. You've probably heard of it. The basic idea is that a tiny piece of what you do, say 20% of your effort, is going to create most of your results. We're talking like 80% of them. The real secret to maximizing your contribution is to find that 20% and just focus relentlessly on those high-impact things.
Okay, so you know your strengths. You're pointed at the right goal. Now it's time for the fun part, actually making things happen. Welcome to Section 3, Collaborate and Execute. The people who make the biggest difference are never the ones just waiting around to be told what to do. They're proactive. It's a simple but powerful 4-step dance. Spot a problem or a need, come up with a way to fix it, raise your hand and say, I've got this, and then of course you knock it out of the park. You do that and you become the person everyone relies on. But hang on a second. Executing doesn't always mean being the loudest person in the room or taking some big dramatic action. Sometimes, and this is so crucial, the most valuable thing you can contribute is to just be quiet and listen, really listen. Being fully present means you end up solving the actual problem, not the one you thought existed. So far, we've been talking about how you can add value with your own actions. But what if we could shift gears here? What if we could go from adding to multiplying? And that brings us to our 4th big idea, scaling your contribution. This is where we talk about leverage. It's all about making your impact way bigger than just what you can do with your own 2 hands. So how do you actually do that? Well, you share what you know freely. You lift other people up. You mentor them. You empower them. You build systems and tools that anyone can use so they don't have to reinvent the wheel. See the pattern here? You stop being just the doer and you start becoming the architect of a system that does the work. That's a total game changer. And that brings us to our final section. But this isn't really an end. It's more like the engine that keeps this whole thing running. It's all about embracing the feedback loop. Because here's the thing, real lasting impact isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a cycle. You try something, you ask, hey, how did that go? What could be better? You actually think about the answer. And then you try again, but a little smarter this time. That loop, act, seek feedback, reflect, and iterate, is absolutely critical if you want to stay relevant and keep growing. So let's put a bow on this. Here's your entire toolkit in one place. It all starts with you, knowing what makes you unique. Then you aim those strengths at the right goals. You execute with purpose, and then you scale your impact by empowering others. And the whole thing is powered by that constant engine of feedback and improvement. That's the formula, right there.
And that's a wrap on this explainer. I want to leave you with a challenge, not just a thought. After hearing all this, what is one small, proactive step you can take, like this week, to move from just being busy to truly multiplying your own unique impact? Just one thing to get the ball rolling.